Welcome to a very impromptu Monday morning rant here on World Class Bullshitters. If you've been listening to this channel since we've started, you know that we're very passionate about entertainment. We're very passionate about things we love, and we're not afraid to tell you when something's great, and we're not afraid to tell you when something's bad. I mean, actually, we take a lot of pleasure in shitting on entertainment. I mean, this year alone, we had Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman to rip apart. And there were other movies that we skipped that probably were pieces of shit. But no matter what opinion we give you, we're always telling you, we're giving you what we consider the truth. We're not sugarcoating it to promote an agenda. We're not trying to get people to be like, yeah, you know, this makes me feel good too. Like, we're trying to give you the best, the most honest appraisal we can. So, for today's rant, it's going to be called The State of Star Wars 1 year later. So back in 2012, Disney purchased Lucasfilm for $4 billion and change. And like I said, I remember the exact moment where I was. I was sitting in class. I was a junior in college. And I was in Dr. Newworth's class. And we were sitting there talking about something. I don't really remember what we were talking about. But I remember the couple people around me were like, hey, did you hear Disney bought Star Wars? And I went, what? And I pulled out my phone and I looked it up real quick. And I thought, this could be cool. So I go home. I tell everybody I know. Everyone on Facebook talks about it. And we kind of forget about it because we got other things going on in our lives. Well, fast forward to 2015 and the hype is astronomical. I don't think we'll ever see another film be hyped the way Episode 7 was. You had the hype of Episode 1, and that was bigger. But the hype of Episode 7 was just slightly smaller, and I don't think anything else is going to get people that pumped. So, after Episode 7 came out, I gave up on Star Wars completely. It was done in my eyes. I had no interest. I said, you know what? I'm 27 years old. I don't care. I've grown up. It's time for me to move on. So I spent a whole year just avoiding Star Wars. I paid attention to Marvel, even though it's still owned by Disney, so it's like I'm ignoring one of their properties to, you know, give money to the other one. So I'm not really hurting them, I guess, which pisses me off, because in the long run, I kind of wanted to stick it to them. But, you know, I didn't do Star Wars anything, you know? I wasn't buying the merchandise, the t-shirts, the action figures. I wasn't getting excited for, you know, the little video game figures that you put on the stand and all that dumb shit. And, you know, the closer I got to Rogue One, I realized maybe not everyone else is too. See, I thought I was alone in my feelings towards this angry Star Wars sentiment. But what I think I realized is that people were just caught up in the hype and the nostalgia, and once time has passed, they've realized that Episode 7 is bullshit, and Disney Star Wars is kind of bullshit. And I'm using, you know, for my point, or my basis for my opinion is, like, you'll go to the store, right? Now, if something's popular, like Hatchimals, it's like the number one toy this Christmas. Tried to get one as a gift for somebody, couldn't find it. But you go to a toy store in America, and there is everything Star Wars. Last year it was huge. It had 2 aisles dedicated to it. It had the front end cap at Toys R Us. It had the whole boys section. It had action figures, 6-inch and 3 3/4. You had little dolls. You had micro machines, die-cast ships, interactive figures, all this shit. You know, people were like hyped, you know. You had all these idiot virgins that were running out to fucking Midnight Madness to pick up a 6-inch Rey action figure and all this other dumb shit. And that was great. That was the hardcore fan base that was really into that one. But after Christmas came Easter and all those holidays, and now we're back to the next Christmas, and lo and behold, the same Star Wars stuff is sitting on the shelves. And I don't just mean, like, you know, a couple extra Constable Zuvio figures. I'm talking, like, up until recently, until they took them out of stores, I was able to find everything from the Episode 7 line. The Millennium Falcon, that shitty-ass X-Wing, the crappy TIE Fighter with the bent wings, the giant TIE Fighter that was $200 that didn't sell, that I've seen on clearance for $30 at a local store. We're talking all the Star Wars shit that was, you know, so highly valued. Just, you know, for pennies on the dollar now. And even to this day, I can still go into a store and see like a Finn action figure and all that stuff. So, I think part of the reason I enjoyed Rogue One, outside of it being a great movie, was the fact that I think a lot of people are starting to kind of wake up to the fact that Episode 7 was all hype and no substance. So this year, when it comes to the toys, the toy line is very small. There's only a handful of action figures. You have the main Rogue characters, and you have a couple variations, and then you have an AT-ACT, which is overpriced as shit. Who's going to spend $300 on a fucking AT-AT Walker toy that controls by your cell phone? Like, that's some dumb shit. Either way, that's not the point. My point is, this Star Wars movie got a fraction of the hype and a fraction of the merchandise and a fraction of the media attention. I mean, people like Good Morning America was reporting on the trailer for Episode 7 like constantly. It wasn't even that great of a trailer. I remember seeing the first one with Finn popping his head up, and I was like, okay, there's a black stormtrooper. Well, I really hope that they're not going to sit and go on this whole diversity train, because Star Wars has always been diverse. Lando Calrissian wasn't a token black dude. He was a cool-ass motherfucker. Lando essentially owned... he was the administrator, but he owned Cloud City. He was a businessman. He was successful. He was a smuggler, or a scoundrel, excuse me. Han was the smuggler. My point is, like, Lando had a wide depth of character when he was introduced in The Empire Strikes Back. Lando was awesome, and Lando was conflicted. It wasn't like, I'm going to jump in the face of Captain Phasma and say, who's in charge now and all this dumb shit. No, Lando had a moral dilemma. Lando was like, if I help the Empire, I help my business and all the people here on Cloud City. Or I could help my old friend. It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's interesting that you give a character in a Star Wars movie that kind of depth and weight in their first appearance. And then the next one, you see how Lando grows into a rebellion hero. He makes good on his promise to help find Han Solo, and Lando defeats the second Death Star. Him and Wedge Antilles are the two pilots that destroy the second Death Star. So don't give me this bullshit about Star Wars needed a black character to appeal to black fans. No, motherfucker, Star Wars always had black characters, and Star Wars has always had black fans. Dion and I are not white. Dion's black, I'm half black. I've loved Star Wars since I was 6 years old. I don't care that Han Solo's white. He was awesome, okay? Awesome character is an awesome character. Color, not color. Finn was not an awesome character, okay? I mean, he was a stupid token, like, just diversity checkbox character. Like, hey, here he is. We got a black guy for you. And now we got a woman who's the lead. Well, I hate to break it to you folks, but Princess Leia's always kind of been equally billed as the other two. But I already said that last week. But, people were so hyped up for this stupid fucking trailer, and I was just like, oh, well, we gotta see. Then the second one came out with Han Solo, and I was like, oh man, it's cool to see Han Solo back. I know he's gonna die because of Harrison Ford's ego, but whatever. I'm happy to see him back. And then I go watch the movie, and it's complete garbage. I mean, if you want to hear a heartbroken man, go back and listen to that review from last year. I can't top that. In my 6 month later rant, I don't think I can top that, because that was at the height of my anger. Okay? Now, had Rogue One been as stupid and as offensive as Episode 7, I probably would have flipped a shit. I shit you not. When I was thinking about the build-up to Rogue One, in my mind, I was convinced that if this movie sucked, I was going to chug a large Coke at the fucking screen and walk out. Like, I was ready to rage. I was ready to just take it out on everybody. Stupid as it sounds, because I'm fed up with bullshit. I'm fed up with taking something I like, and for the sake of money, fucking it in the ass. Not like, giving it a call back or anything, like literally just fucking it and leaving it for dead. That's what Episode 7 was. You took Star Wars, you fucked it, and you took everything you could from it, and you gave us crap. It's like, the kid who has to turn in a major project the next day, who starts it at 9 o'clock that night. It's like, you are fucked, kid. And that's what Episode 7 is. Just fucked. It's a terrible fucking movie. If you like it, I don't mean to offend you, but you're the fucking problem. It's stupid. Okay? There's nothing redeeming about it. And the nicest part is, Dustin on the show is starting to see some of the points I'm making. I'm not saying he needs to change his mind. And I'm not saying you need to change your mind completely. Just have your mind open to the possibility that it's not as good as you remember, because it's not as It wasn't a quality film. You were just excited for the hype, and your emotions outweigh your logic, you know? Like, oh my god, I'm so pumped. I can't wait to be part of Star Wars and this big thing. And, like, realistically, 90% of you people didn't even like Star Wars as a kid, you know? I did. I had the toys. I still have those fucking things in my closet. I never threw them out. The point is, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, or judge of film when it comes to Star Wars and stuff like that. I've watched every one dozens of times except Episode 7. That is the only Star Wars film, and will remain the only Star Wars film that I watch once. But Rogue One came out, and it was great. You can listen to that review. I'm sure we're going to talk more about Rogue One later in the week. But the state of Star Wars is back to where it was 2 years ago. Because you had people that hated the prequels and loved the original, or you had people that liked both. Nobody really hates the original Star Wars movies. People like to talk shit about Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi is far from perfect, but Return of the Jedi is far from terrible as well. The Ewoks are in the movie for about 30 minutes, which they are dumb, but they're not offensively dumb. Like, they die. See, Episode 7, if that had Ewoks, the Ewoks would have, like, beat Kylo Ren and all survived. Like, George Lucas, Richard Marquand, all those guys had the nerve, had the balls to murder the cutesy little characters, and that was slick, you know? Going back, it adds a level of depth and realism to the movie. I'm not saying that, you know, it's a realistic movie by any stretch of the imagination, but they were able to do those things, and for me, maintain a level of, I guess, maturity, adultness. I don't know if that's the right way. Harrison Ford is still alive and in the movie and looks good. Another point for Mark Hamill getting work, because he's one of the best actors who never really made it big. He seems like a great, likable guy, and if I could change history, I'd have Mark Hamill have a career equal to Harrison Ford, because Mark Hamill is actually way more entertaining than Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is great at playing Harrison Ford in action roles, and I love him. He's my favorite actor. I'm not here to talk shit about my favorite actor, but Mark Hamill has a wider range, and he's a lot funnier. Harrison Ford is weird. Like, I guess he's socially awkward or just introverted. I don't know him personally. But, sorry, I was getting off on a tangent. You know, those are that, and I guess we'll give one more point for the Star Wars crawl, because Rogue One didn't have a crawl, and I would have liked a crawl in this, because I like the uniformity of, you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far away, and then the Star Wars theme hits, and then it goes. It's, you know, there's the movie. That's it, though. Rogue One is a 9 out of 10 film. I fucking love it. I'm not going to tell you my rating, because this week I'm going to give you an entire video where I rank every Star Wars movie. I'm not doing the Clone Wars TV show because, well, there's a movie from the Clone Wars, but I'm not doing that because some people look at it as just episodes of the TV show packaged as a movie, and some people just don't like it or haven't seen it, and I'm doing live action Star Wars, okay? We'll just break it down like that. So, part of me is very happy and relieved that Rogue One is so good. I almost feel like, it's the end of the first Star Wars movie. You know, Luke Skywalker is going down the fucking trench, and Darth Vader and those two pilots are on his ass. Biggs has been killed, and Wedge has been shot. He lost his engine, he had to fucking leave. So, you know, it's just Luke. And I feel like I'm Luke, and I'm on that trench. And Disney and all their dumb bullshit is behind me. And I'm like, you know, if I can't make it to this Rogue One and it's not good, I'm going to get shot down and we're all going to lose. I felt like that kind of tension building up to it. And then I saw it and everything just felt good. Like, I was actually... I know you're going to probably laugh like, oh, your whole life is dependent on the quality of this movie. No, it's not. What's important to me is the fact that something I love has not become something I hate. I don't care. Like, okay, people like Van Halen. Some people liked it with Eddie Van Halen. Or not Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth. Some people liked it with Sammy Hagar. And some people hate, you know, the other versions, you know? I don't want hate associated with one of my favorite things. Star Wars has helped my friends, you know, help people become my friends. It gives us something to talk about. We get into deep discussions. You should see Dion and I drunk. We'll go into fucking the lore of Star Wars, or Dustin wants to talk the philosophy of Palpatine. It's a big part of my friendships that are my best friendships. And the fact that there was something I hated so much associated with it was cutting me off from that sort of interaction I had with those friends. And it just pissed me off that everyone was buying into this dumb shit. I feel like this is the end of The Wizard of Oz, where the fucking curtain was opened up and like everyone's seeing the truth about Episode 7. It was all hype, all nostalgia, but it was all bullshit. Rogue One deserves to, you know, make more money than Episode 7, in my opinion. To me, that was a quality film. You had somebody that liked Star Wars that didn't have a stick up his ass or an agenda. You know, people were like, oh, this whole dump Star Wars hashtag, and, you know, it's anti-Trump. Whatever. I've always said, keep your fucking politics out of my fucking entertainment, and we'll be good. Rogue One did that. Empire was evil. Rebels were good to a degree. I liked how it added some gray to the black versus white dichotomy of the original Star Wars movies. It was very interesting. It was very well done. Overall, what I want to get at, though, is it's nice to have a little redemption. It's like Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi, you know? He died a hero, saving Luke, and that's why he rejoined with the Force, and he was able to be one with the Force and go off and turn back into Hayden Christensen. Ugh. So that's really the state of Star Wars 1 year later. It's back. The balance has been brought to the Force, you know? Everything is good again, for me. Episode 7 is the worst movie I think I've ever seen in theaters. It's the most terrible theater-going experience. I was surrounded by a bunch of idiots that were duped, and I'm not calling you idiots because you have a different opinion. I'm calling those people idiots because you were duped. You couldn't see through the bullshit. I'm not a fucking prophet. I'm not trying to act like one, but the minute that movie ended, I saw hundreds of people excited over being talked down to, okay? And that's the kind of shit that bothers me. Not that you have a differing opinion from me, because you know what? I think the first Star Wars movie is the best Star Wars movie, not Empire Strikes Back. But you know what? I don't get pissed when you disagree with me. That's completely fine. You can like the prequels a lot. If you say you like them more than the originals, I'm kind of questioning your intelligence, but I'm not going to shit on you for having a different opinion. Leaving Episode 7 ruined me. Leaving Rogue One redeemed me and rebuilt me. And now I'm back to being excited about entertainment, back to excited about being a Star Wars fan, and I'm a little sad that this is not as big of a hit, though, because, like, it's such a better movie. Rogue One made, like, $155 million domestic this past weekend, and Episode 7 made $240 million domestic that opening weekend. I'll tell you from experience, when Phil, Dan, and I went to go see Episode 7 last year, we couldn't get tickets to the 7 o'clock because it sold out in a minute. We got 10 o'clock movie tickets, and we waited in line for 4 fucking hours, and the line looped around our movie theater. And I don't mean just like the lobby, because the movie theater we go to is in this like complex. It's almost like a mall, and the top level is a 22-screen AMC movie theater. And it was just madness. I've never seen anything so busy. I mean, I've been to WrestleMania 12 times now, and they had thousands and thousands of people, and this movie theater was that crowded to me. Like, for such a small space with so many people, it was shoulder to shoulder. It literally looped twice. Like, even, here's a funny, the only good positive memory I have of Episode 7 is I played security guard because I'm a fucking giant. I played security guard at the escalator. I'm like, are you going up to see Star Wars? And people would be like, yeah. I'm like, are you 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock? They're like, 10 o'clock. I'm like, well, get to the back of the line. And I'm like, and the line ends here. So, I'm just saying, that's the only fun I had associated with that movie. But I'm going to end this. It's almost 20 minutes of me ranting about the state of Star Wars. Long story short, Star Wars has been redeemed. I hope that if you didn't like Rogue One, I hope you don't, like, leave this channel, because we're not going to, like, change our opinions about shit. You know, Ghostbusters was still a fucking abortion, okay? I'm never going to change my, like, I've watched it, and I've never watched it again. But if I do watch it for a second time, I'm not going to go, I was so wrong about everything, and I'm going to cut my balls off and tuck my dick back and become a cuck like Paul Fagg. I'm going to change everything I ever was. No. Ghostbusters was shit, and it will remain shit. It's shit on a classic. It fucked up. Here's the thing. It brought its politics to the screen. It brought its politics, and it talked down to people. People don't want to be talked down to by a fucking movie, and I don't want to be fed some bullshit in entertainment. Be it Star Wars, Ghostbusters, anything. Keep it clean in that respect. So, if you stuck with us for the whole 19 minutes, thank you. I'm sorry I was rambling, but Monday morning rants aren't scripted. It's just me sitting in front of a computer screen, watching Live and Let Die currently, and rambling about something that's important to me. And I feel like the state of Star Wars was something that had to be said. It's good again, and if you disagree, I'm sorry. I hope something can bring back the magic of Star Wars for you. Because, like I said in the review, Rogue One is essentially an extension of one of my all-time favorite movies. Back to the Future is my favorite, so I'm just going to put that out there. But I'm going to say Star Wars as a favorite as well. So imagine your favorite movie getting an extension that's amazing and doesn't fuck with the original film. Nothing in Rogue One changes the original Star Wars trilogy. It doesn't bastardize the characters. It only expands upon them. And so just imagine something you've loved your entire life, getting more of and it being just as good. All right? It's like a second helping of the best meal you've ever had of your life, and it's still just as good. So that's it. That's the state of Star Wars. We will be back later this week with our Christmas episode of World Class Bullshitters. I will be back this week with more Star Wars themed episodes, and thank you for watching. If you would like to help support our show, make sure you check out incarnate-studios.com. It is a t-shirt company who does all kinds of awesome designs. They have official World Class Bullshitters merchandise. You can get a World Class Bullshitters poster, t-shirts. We got some coloring books, not of World Class Bullshitters, mind you, but of other things. And there's literally dozens and dozens of t-shirt designs that you can pick from. So there's something for everybody. Video games, TVs, shows, movies. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has a lot of popular shirts from that website. I'm just saying, like, if you like entertainment, check it out. This is Jeff of World Class Bullshitters signing out, and it is a good day to be a Star Wars fan.